I did yesterday, literally. But I previously had the Nikon D3400, and I was very pleased with that camera. The picture quality was great. Video was a little shaky, but I was always zoomed out to the furthest I could to try to catch my son's football about 50 yards away. So without a stand, it's understandable. But that D3400, I took it to Grand Canyon twice on a road trip. I let my son borrow it. He went to Italy and Greece with it, took a lot of pictures, came home. It's a very, very robust camera. The only thing I didn't like about the D3400 is it just didn't have very many bells and whistles. It did the job very well, but there was just not a whole lot of extra features that I wanted out of a camera. But it was my first camera. The Z50, this is actually my second camera. But this is a quick story. Before I bought this, I bought the Sony A6100. I wanted to try something different than a Nikon, and so I went with the Sony A6100. I had it for a little while, about 3 or 4 days. It had a green tint to it. My daughter has blonde hair. When I was taking her picture, I saw her hair actually had a green tint to her. Like when women dye their hair, it's blonde. Sometimes it comes out green. Her hair was like that. I went to Best Buy where I bought the camera, and the person helped me set the priority white balance on it, and it did help a lot with that. It pretty much took care of that problem. But I also took out the Sony A6100 and the Nikon D3400 out on a shoot, and I shot a bunch of pictures about this, from approximately the same areas, and I got home and I looked at the different in the pictures. The things that are green, like grass and things like that, the Sony put a lot of color into that. So it does color. The Sony does do a little bit of coloring to your photos. So I was a little disappointed with that. And also the other thing that I didn't like about the Sony is that when I tried to focus on something black, it wouldn't focus. It would not take that picture. But the Nikon, I put the Nikon lens down on a black surface and it focused on it perfect. Like it was just a difference between night and day. The Sony, I tried to do what I'm doing now as using it as a webcam, and it was very grainy. And I sat here and I listed on my little piece of paper here, my little notebook, every single setting, and I recorded it just to get the different. To get the different what it would do in the different settings to try to get rid of the grain. And my Nikon D3400, I hooked it up as a webcam, and it did an excellent job with it. The only bad thing about the Nikon D3400, and this is what I was saying about the bells and whistles, you can't remove the what the camera is recording on the sides, and there's no way to remove it because it doesn't have that feature. But the Z50 obviously does, because I'm recording right now with the Z50 and there's no rings around here. So it does that really well. It has relatively low light in this room. You can see I have one light back there. I have one little light here, and then I have one light back here. So but they're just relative. It's really dark in here overall, but it picks up very well. And it focuses, it keeps focused. The Sony did a pretty good job focusing, but like I said, the black was grainy, and I could never get the black ungrainy no matter what I did. So enough about the Sony A6100. I know there's a lot of Sony lovers out there, and you guys know how to tweak your cameras, and that's what you need to do with the Sony A6100. You need to be able to know how to tweak that camera in order to make that camera produce the photos you want it to produce. With the Nikon Z50, like I said, I'm an amateur. This camera, it does all the work for me. I do adjust a few of the settings, but overall, I just left it on auto, and I took a bunch of photos, and I'll put them at the end of this video, and it just did its job. I did get the extra lens kit, so that I could take those bokeh shots, and it comes out really well with that. So I would suggest, if you are going to get the Z50, to go ahead and get the one with the lens kit, unless you have lenses. Now this is very important. Right now, if you buy the Nikon Z50, the adapter to make it go from the Z lens to the F lens, which everybody probably has, you can get that lens for $50 when you buy the Nikon Z50. If you don't buy it at the time you purchase a camera, that little adapter is going to cost you $250 brand new. So you really might want to consider go ahead and getting that ring too when you buy it. I don't know how long this it's going to be like that for, but you can go to the Nikon site and you can see where that special is, and then you can go down to your Best Buy and they'll honor it and they'll give you that. They actually had that ring in stock at my Best Buy here in Sugar Land, and I could have had it, but it was a lot of hassle. I still have 14 days to go back and get the ring, but I don't really have any other lenses anyway. I'm pretty happy with the lenses that I have. I mean, I have the lenses that came with the D3400, but I'm pretty sure that the lenses came with the Z50 are probably a lot better and they're new. So there's no really reason for me to do that. But I know that people that buy the Z50 probably are going to have different Nikon lenses. I would just recommend the Nikon. It just takes really good pictures. I'm sure I've used, our church has a Canon, I think it was like a T5 or a T6. It took really good pictures too. So I wouldn't choose between a Nikon and a Canon if you're an amateur photographer that just wants to take good pictures and not have to spend a lot of time trying to adjust the camera and then working in post as well. Last thing on the post, you have to go to Sony's, you have to be able to load the raw files. Will only open in Sony's little software. And if you have an older system like me, I have an older MacBook, and it's like a 10.13 or something like that. It requires like 10.15 and above to be able to run the Sony program. I have another laptop that's a PC, and it won't open that either. So I was never even able to see the raw files that came out of the Sony. So that was another reason that I know that I don't have any problems with the Nikon. I've shot with the D3400 and the raw files came out fine. So I guess that was my last really issue with that A6100. And like I said, if you're a Sony person, just I know I'm just an amateur, so you're good to go. You know how to adjust it. But for me, the Nikon or maybe a Canon would probably be a better choice. Right now, I'm actually using the app to be able to monitor myself and then hit record and stop and play. So this app actually works really well. The Sonys did too. So they had a good app for your phone. So that was about the same. Also, the Nikon. If you look at the YouTube videos, it says that there's a 30-minute timer on the camera. When you're using it as a webcam, it'll shut down and you have to turn it back on. There's actually a setting on the that says the standby timer, and the standby timer, it says no limit. So I'm thinking it's almost been 30 minutes since I've had this on, but I'm really going to try it. But I think that this thing will stay on past the 30 minutes, but I'm just going to double check that. Well, anyway, that's all I really have to say about this product for now. I will post some pictures at the end of this video if you want to stick around. If you like what you saw, just hit like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. The deal breaker for the Sony A6100. When I was doing my shoot with the Nikon D3400 and the Sony AS6100, when I looked into the Nikon viewfinder, obviously it's a DSLR, so it's not digital. But what I saw in the viewfinder is what the picture looked like, right? I know everybody says that, but especially in the Sony A6100, when you look at the reviews, they tell you what you see in the viewfinder is what the picture is going to look like. But I'm letting you know right now that when you're outside, it's bright, and you're taking pictures and you're looking through the viewfinder, the picture that's in the viewfinder of the Sony looks like an old television set. It's not very clear, and so when you take that picture, you're thinking that it's not going to be a clean picture because the viewfinder is not set. I mean, it doesn't have the clarity in the viewfinder, so you're thinking you're taking a bad picture because of the viewfinder. And then when you get home and you look at the pictures are better. The pictures look way better than what the viewfinder shows. When you do the comparison between the Nikon Z50 and the AS6100, the Z50 almost has twice the amount of pixels inside that little viewfinder. It is a very clear viewfinder in the Nikon Z50. It's what you see in the viewfinder is what you get in the picture, and there's no one's paying me to make this. It's just the truth. So you can tell that the Sony, probably if you pay the extra money to get the higher end mirrorless cameras, you probably get the higher resolution viewfinder. So I guess they figured they needed to do something to make it cheesier so that you buy the extra camera. I don't know what they did or what they were thinking, but the Nikon Z50 does not have that issue. The other thing that the Sony A6100, when you remove the lens, and the people who are used to a Sony camera, they're probably just thinking that, you know, that there's something wrong with me. But when you remove that lens from that camera, it feels like you're going to break the thing because it's on there so tight. And then you have to, like, okay, I'm just going to have blind faith and twist this thing, and then you twist it and it comes off. And that's with the small lens and the large lens. Both had that exact same problem. With the Nikon, it just feels just like my DSLR, where it just goes on there real smooth, on and off. It doesn't feel like you're going to break the camera. When you put the lenses on there, it feels really good. It feels like my D3400, which is a heavier camera, but this is a lighter camera, but it has a good grip and a good feel, so when you're shooting it, it does make a difference. Okay, one of the things that I wanted to explain on how I'm using a mini Mac, and I'm going straight into it with this little bitty HDMI capture card. This capture card, there's some out there, you can spend a ton of money on this. This is 30 bucks on Amazon. My son bought it for me. I'll see if I can get where he bought it from, but this works on that Nikon Z50. Don't spend a lot of money on a capture card. It does get a little warm after you use it for a while, but it doesn't shut off or anything like that. So yeah, it just goes in one end of the HDMI, and then it plugs into your computer, and then the other end is the micro HDMI. So yeah, that's an easy way to get your Nikon Z50 to be a webcam. And these days, everybody working from home, you can have the best looking video in your little Zoom meeting or whatever, and that's a neat way to use the camera as well. That's one of the reasons I bought it.